10 feet would look pretty sweet. Add 10 feet to it. What do you think?
Really? What's up, everybody? FSC Trucking. Yeah, I know, squinty eyes. I left my sunglasses somewhere. God only knows where. Just got back to the shop after Mid-America Trucking Show. Still got Black Dog over here holding on to Jen's Mercedes. We got to go ahead and take that off and unload. And then, because we got to go get loaded, we got to go get another striker, taking it to Waxahachie, Texas again. It's like the last one we did. Not really sure how in the video sequence order this is going to work, because you see, right before Mid-America Trucking Show, we took a striker down to Waxahachie and then came back to Mid-America empty. But this video is kind of more focused on that and a little bit of what we're doing on Orwell. So I want to talk a little bit about Orwell before we go ahead and get that thing started up. Actually makes more sense. Let's get that started up. Then we'll go talk about Orwell. All right. Life fired right up, came to life for us. All right, let's let the Black Dog run a little bit before we start messing with unloading the trailer. We were in here a little bit ago. Me and Chris were talking, trying to figure out what we want to do with Orwell. Obviously, we've got Orwell's fifth wheel missing. Chris went ahead and took that apart while we were at the truck show. And frame is not as bad as we thought it was going to be, but it certainly needed to be addressed. There's other hidden issues that I've known about for a while that we're probably going to want to ultimately re-rail the truck. But then that kind of changes the idea of things as far as, do we keep it exactly as the same? Do we modify it? Do we change it? How do we make it not just look better, but be more functional for what it does all its life? So we're trying to figure that out. Also, there's a lot of questions as to the modification on this frame, whether it's factory or modified from Keene Transport. I'm told it's factory, but there's a couple things you can check to know. That'll probably be on a video coming up. Either way, you got to figure out where we're going to put this, because if we do decide that we are going to re-rail this truck while the engine and transmission is out, where do we put it? It's kind of in the way. Then again, so is Elaine, so is the Lazarus cab, so is Elvira's cab, the 352. Everything's in the way. So we kind of have a little bit of figuring to do here, but that's come up in the future. Either way, point is, we are working on Orwell. We just don't know exactly what we're going to do beyond the engine and transmission. So now that we did buy Black Dog, we have the opportunity to do a lot more work to this. So I'm thinking this week, we're going to do a lot of that work. All right, well, that kind of gets us started for the day. Today, though, we got to, like I said, take that car off the trailer, and we got to go get another striker truck, one of Oshkosh Airport strikers, and load it, and get ready to take that to Waxahachie. But I think we're just going to load it and come home, work on Orwell, and then we'll leave later in the week. Not sure what day, not sure what time. We'll figure that out, but I really would like to get a lot of work done on Orwell. So for now, let's start off on getting this car handled. Great, you should go. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Turn to me and touch. Good. Easy. Yep. Keep coming. Nice and easy. Keep going. Nice and easy. Keep going. Put on a little bit. Good. Stop. Nice and easy. Little more. Tire on you. Good. You're on the ground. You're good. Then park. Park next to Dooley. All right, everybody, it is the next day. Picked that up yesterday, loaded it, brought it here, went home, got a few things done editing video-wise, and getting back to the shop. So while I was gone, Chris has been working on Elaine. Thing is, you probably wonder, why are we working on Elaine? Well, Elaine has to be able to be portable and move under her own power because Orwell's getting ready to be a fixture. Once we slide a rail out of Orwell, it's got to be positioned in a way where it doesn't have to move. And we would like to have one bay open, which presumably be better with this one if we have to get the whole trailer in and shut the door. So if Elaine's sitting here and can be moved, fire her up, put her outside while the trailer is indoors. That makes the most sense. Also, we did want to communicating with area diesel services. They're not really sure based on what we were talking about. I think it has something to do with this Pacer system. Let me show you quick. This engine is mechanical, but you wonder, it does have an ECM. Apparently, it has something to do with the Jake brakes and cruise control. It's controlled with this Pacer module here, which if we can't figure out why this isn't functioning properly, we might just wind up deleting it somehow. I'm not really 100% on that. And then make the Jake brakes be manual with the micro switch with the clutch and the throttle. Either way, that's the issue. So we're thinking that might have to do with it. But right now, the goal is to get it running and movable, even if it doesn't run quite right. We'll have time in the future to work with this. It's just that right now, it's got to be able to be portable and move around a bit. So that's basically the end goal for this little run. However, Chris did replace all the oil jumpers for the step timing with the injectors. And one of them, when he took it apart, didn't have oil in it. So he's thinking that that piece was cracked or some O-ring went bad in it. So it's possible that that step timing issue was creating that laggy throttle problem. It throttles up okay, but it doesn't want to throttle down, which will make shifting a royal pain in the neck. So that's basically what we're thinking. It's possible, but we'll know once we fire it up. I went and got an oil filter for it, new oil for it. So basically it got a service, and now just Chris is hooking up the batteries to a temporary battery box. Fuel in the tank, we got to get that from Orwell. Orwell's sitting with full fuel tanks, basically. I brought Black Dog home empty because we're going to start draining Orwell's fuel tanks. We're going to have to get them tanks off. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier or not, but Orwell's getting new frame rails. We found a lot of ugliness underneath the fifth wheel, so I'll get to that in a minute, but we got to start draining some fuel out of there. While we're doing that, I'll start showing you why we're replacing the frame rails. And Chris, James Pretty, and a few other people, yeah, talk me into it. You'll see. Well, may as well move this. This is Elaine's oil filter. So I went and got this drum siphon from Fleet Farm. Didn't want to spend a whole pile of money on trying to rig up an electric pump, pull down tanks for the very few times we need. So hopefully this thing will actually work and flow reasonable. I mean, how often do we drain fuel tanks around here? Watch, now that I say that, it'll be a regular thing. Clearly that's the bottom. So that's meant to go into a drum and then start your siphon. But sticking in a tank should work the same. Nice good gas can. Even if I have to drive the same distance to get it. Now let's see how well our little siphon works.
You got the camera on?
Yeah. There we go. Well, that flows pretty damn quick. Slight change of plan. Yeah, I know it's the wrong color. That's the one we have. Can't get a funnel in here to use the other one, so we'll use this one. It's faster. So I could do this without making a mess. There you go, 300 amps. You cut it off and that's when it died?
Yeah.
Shall I be standing over there with a board ready to choke it? Oh, maybe you got, when you took it all apart and floated it out, maybe you got all the schmoo out of it.
Shuts down. Yeah, I have something.
Yeah, we get a board. It's just big enough.
Maybe it's just all air. I have one big enough.
Well, wasn't like dangerously high.
No, but I wasn't trying to go there.
Yeah. now it wants to idle high. Pops when you cut it off electrically.
I get something up here.
What, an overhead?
Yeah. Didn't do that before. And like I said, this was messed with.
Somebody commented a while back about deleting that Pacer system, which basically is its cruise control. It'd be a real pain in the neck to have a truck that did not cruise. Trust me, I know Orwell's that way, but man, this thing is just 1 minute don't want to run, now it wants to not run away, but it wants to run a lot harder. And sure as hell don't want to try to drive it like that. Just even to move it around the building.
I never use cruise that much.
Yeah.
I-10 out west where there's no traffic other than that.
But then you got all them other hoses going in that step timing stuff too.
That would all stay there.
Well, if that block is missing, don't them two solenoids come down then?
That one, the front solenoid will be eliminated.
Right.
So you only have the primary shut off.
That forward solenoid, is there power on that or no?
Let me see which one we're talking about.
The one on the front.
No, there shouldn't be until
There shouldn't be, but is
until
there?
the cruise is turned on.
Yeah.
There wasn't before.
Well, this one should have power now, right? The back one?
Yeah.
Yep, power there.
Power in the front.
Power front one too.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yes, that Pacer setup's on.
That shouldn't be.
I'll lift that lug up and then maybe it's trying to hold up at a high idle with that cruise.
See, those lights should be on. Indicating power.
Right.
And they're not. Let me take this off back here.
Oh, you're gonna disconnect the ECM from the battery?
Yeah.
Yeah, try that. I know you guys didn't see it. When this one's powered, the way I'm understanding it, when this one's powered, it fires the Pacer system, which bypasses your throttle when this is in off mode. It's riding high as if this is running. There's power here where there shouldn't be right now. So I think this is actually like it's trying to run cruise control. So he's gonna lift the lug off the battery for this ECM and basically go manual, like without ever having cruise.
See if you have power there now.
See, so now there should be power here. There is. Yeah, we still got power at that front one.
Power to both of them?
Correct.
That can't be.
12.13 on the back one and 11.36 on the front. I mean, in the end, we really don't know what all these wires are. And who's monkeyed up? A good set. You gotta bear in mind, this engine was like, this truck was basically a yard horse, just moving trailers, so they didn't give a rip how it ran as long as it moved. So God only knows what anybody did prior to this, and we don't have the books on how to properly set this thing up. The pump was professionally rebuilt, bench tested, the whole bit, so we're going on the assumption a pump is properly done.
See if you got power now.
All right.
If it does, then I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay, still power on the back one. No power to the front. Yep, double checking. Yeah, no power meaning like the teeniest, weetsiest, like 0.00, and then it dithers. So now it should work au manuel off the throttle linkage, right?
If it takes off, I'm not going to let it run very long.
Really? Maybe airbound?
Get the air out of it.
Yeah. I'm guessing at minimally, if it'll idle right, you can put it in gear, come off the clutch and let it roll. Let it run a little, see if it'll get the air out of the system. We did just put the fuel lines to it and just dump the first fuel. We'll see. But the goal is just to get it moving and out of our way if we need it to be moved. Not sure. Nice to hear it run though. Say that when he was turning the key off, he turned it off, it was firing the jakes. The ECM was firing the jakes. That's why it cut off so fast and hard. We might wind up just deleting that, letting it go for a ride, meaning leave it on the truck and just running without it. But if somebody knows this system, reach out. Tell me what to do, how to fix this. Down to people that I know, and not very many people know this system. So we're kind of at a loss, which is probably why we wound up with this truck. This video should be sponsored by CRC, but it's not. Alrighty, so while over the noise of my leaky quick disconnect on that tire there, it's just where the air chuck goes in the air hose, that quick disconnect ain't worth the crap. I'll get ahead and finally show you what's going on with Orwell's frame. We got these tanks down as dry as we can. Black Dog is full right to the tippy top, so that's good. It's fuel I already paid for, I can use. These tanks can come off because, well, we're gonna do a re-rail on this truck. Not only re-rail it, but talk me into it. We're adding length. We're not adding a lot, but we're adding a little bit. I'll show you why. Chris yanked the fifth wheel off using a cherry picker. Hacked up my already butcher job of ramp setup. I mean, they worked, but they didn't work as well as they could have. Black Dog's works a lot nicer. This slide hasn't moved since I bought the truck. But that bar right there broke, welded it, and broke again. And it's left it be for a short while. But that was definitely peeling him out. The rust jacking was taking this angle iron and bending it outward. So Chris took it apart. He hit it up with a needle scaler pretty good, and you see what you got left. And at the surface, just looking at it, it really doesn't look all that bad. Until you start looking closer. Put the level on it. See, there's a gap there. It's not super terrible, but the whole thing is low. This is 1/4 inch rail. And over here, it's real thin, like almost paper thin. I don't know how well that shows out. See right here, it's pretty thin. Probably down about 1/8-ish. And if you pinch with your finger, you can feel it's even less in places. On that side, it's a lot worse. Like you see here, maybe don't show so well, it's all dug out and then up. So Chris already needle scaled all the crap that was out of there. We see how thick it is, and it gets real thin. That's just not good. It's just not much frame to it up here. Now granted, the weight is held here, and if you see, there is a frame bridge factory built into this truck. Now I've asked a few people about this frame bridge, and I've had older drivers that used to run for Keene back in the 80s tell me that this was how they spec'd them out original from Peterbilt. So the frame is a 1/4 inch with a 1/4 inch bridge. It's not the easiest thing to see, but it should turn out if I flip the camera around. So you should be able to see that outline. It kind of looks like an arrow pointing to the left. Well, that triangle piece, you can see it's built up. So right over here to the right is 1/4 inch thick. Then he added that doubler and welded it in, and now it's 1/2 inch thick over here. And it goes through to this cross member and ends over here. The reason I refer to it as a frame bridge is because it seems to bridge the gap from the forward mount of your spring all the way over to your air spring or your airbag right here. That way, if there's a lot of weight on a truck and it's held up by its tail axle and bottoms out, that frame's going to try to buckle right there. So they bridged it. But that's how Keene ordered it, and I believe it to be factory. Now, one way to be able to tell in the future is going to be to unbolt this. This is just a piece of angle iron to protect this U-bolt from damaging your frame. If I unbolt this, are these holes ovaled out or are they straight? Because here's the other thing. They also welded a strap under the frame. So here's your frame and then a strap welded to it, which kind of creates the suspension bags to be a little wonky because it lowers this bag down however thickness of the steel is. So this bag goes down some compared to the back one, which doesn't have that flange The back one doesn't have this flange at all. But you see there? Now you see what that piece of angle iron does. Keeps that U-bolt from busting into that frame. So the question I have is this strap factory from Peterbilt? You'll be able to tell if the frame is ovaled where these bolts are. You'll be able to tell if the frame is oval where these bolts are, or if this was added on sometime after in the truck's life. Not sure. The ultimate plan is, as far as the rails go, is we're going to go approximately 30 inches longer than what we are right now. So we're at, right now we're, if I remember right, what was it, Chris? 180, 185?
180.
Right now the wheelbase is 180, measuring from center of the front axle to the center between the tandems comes out to 180. We're going to add 30 inches, and there used to be a fender right here over the rear wheels. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that gap between the tank and the forward drive big enough to put a Peterbilt step box in there. This way we could delete these ugly steps, polish the tanks. We won't be climbing on our tanks anymore, so we could delete these steps. These always break. These Peterbilt brackets aren't worth the piss. They always break. I took the one off the other side or replaced it on over here just so it looks better, but one side's missing and it looks nicer that way. So we're gonna put a step box in here. The other reason we chose 30 inches is because it's 30 inches between this cross member and this cross member. So when we go longer, all we have to do is add a cross member. Now, this cross member is based on a 1/2 inch thick frame. That cross member is based on a 1/4 inch thick frame. And here's where it gets complicated. Now, I've asked a couple people on this. We want to go with 3/8 rail. If we went with 1/4 and then had them make that frame bridge again, we could, but I'm concerned if we go longer, 1/4 might not be enough for the weight we're doing. I think we're just gonna go with 3/8. If we go 3/8, the center sections, the space between rail and rail, narrow out. How do we adjust that with the track arms here? That keeps the diff from going side to side. How do we adjust that with this? Is there a shim to take out, add to it, a different part number on that? I'm not sure how that's done. Other truck builders would know. So leave comments if you know or know somebody that does know. I asked somebody that I know and trust that builds badass trucks, probably one of the sweeter looking rigs around. However, they didn't know. They didn't have that answer, but put me in a direction that maybe I would be able to find out. Not 100%, but that's the dilemma. 3/8 rail from beginning to end. That changes some of the geometry a little bit, but not bad. I know these cross members can be adjusted somewhat, so that shouldn't create too much drama, but that's basically the idea. So why in this video did we mess with Elaine? Well, Orwell has to be over there where Elaine is. Elaine has to be over here. Once Orwell is sitting over there on that side of the shop and we got a frame rail missing, how do we move it? You don't. So once one rail goes out and goes to Vicon, because they'll make the rail new, lengthened, and it's one piece, but they'll also have the holes pre-drilled ready to go. So all you got to do is bolt it in. It's done. But the truck can't be moved while the rail is missing. So Orwell's got to sit over there. Elaine's got to be in here. That way, if we got to bring the RGN or another trailer in here, Elaine can go outside, the trailer can be brought in and shut the door. That's why we had to get Elaine done. It was not a convenient time to do it, but we did it. Nonetheless, still laggy on the decel on the engine when you brought it in. Still, yeah, all right. It was outside idling for quite a long time, so I was hoping maybe it fixed itself, but we'll work with that in the future. That's the frame rails. That's the frame rail dilemma with Orwell. That's what we got going on with this. So now I would love to be here and get started on this, but I have to go and take that load out. I got to leave tomorrow and deliver that Friday, so I won't be able to be here for a lot of this. But in the end, Chris is going to have to take the headache rack off, stack stands off, drop the tanks, and then just basically get it ready to slide a rail out. There's a lot of disassembly to continue, so either way, that's kind of where we are. But the shop is an absolute mess, so to be honest, tomorrow probably just be cleanup all day, because we've been thrashing, trying to get crap done, and it's just not working as fast as we would like. But that's the progress. That's how we're doing it. The engine block is done. We just got to get up there, pay the bill, and start building on the engine too. So there's definitely crap going on. We're going to be doing a lot with Orwell. And the more the channel performs, that's up to you guys. The more the channel performs, the more we do with this truck. I do have to get this truck running. I do need that other truck, Black Dog, generating revenue with the driver while I'm driving this. But the more meaning at that point, that means we're relying on the channel's performance to fund the Orwell build. So please like, share, subscribe, all that fun crap. Get it known what we're doing, because the channel's going to have to take care of this while I drive the other truck. So that's where we're at, guys. Need your help with that. Not asking for free money. Just continue watching the videos and support the channel.
Here, think about this. 10 feet would look pretty sweet. Add 10 feet to it. What do you think?
Really?
Yeah. I'll go halfway. Look at that. If you're gonna dream, might as well dream big.
There you go.
Now, I think 3 foot would be good. Honestly, that'd leave room for your box, your fingers. You don't want them jammed together.
Right.
36 inches, I think, is where it's at.
So you're trying to go now 36.
Well, time you put a box in here with 30 inches, the box is 30 inches.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna put a fender.
Yep.
I don't like to see stuff jammed together.
Right.
See what I mean?
Yep. No, I get you.
That'd give you a couple inches on either side, and it'd look better. Just something.
If we're gonna go any length, we certainly have to get a storage box in there.
Yeah.
Or there's absolutely no utilitarian purpose for this.
That's the point.
Other than just looking cool. Because we can replace, that's the thing, we can replace exactly what's here, and that'd be the easiest thing to do, but we are limited in storage. I mean, granted, we could get a different headache rack with more storage in the rack, but we're climbing on the tanks. We don't have much catwalk. It'd be nice to put boxes on each side to be able to get more storage. Because once we also start running step decks and RGNs, we got a whole heck of a lot more straps to carry with us on the truck. So my attitude is we're gonna go any length. We need to be big enough to get a nice box in there and clean it up a little. So I'm not trying to, quote, stretch out a cab over, but we do need storage capacity. If we're gonna do anything, we're gonna go thicker, and we're gonna go long enough to get nice boxes and call it a day. So it's either, if we're gonna go an inch, we're gonna go a mile. Not literally a mile. If we're gonna do an inch, we're gonna do it to where it has a completely utilitarian function, or we're not gonna bother at all. So that's the thought process. Tell me what you think. We're not trying to go long, big, long super stretch. We're not trying to put a big, huge, house on wheels sleeper on the sucker. But if we're gonna do it, we may as well do it right, because, well, why not? Orwell's gonna be around for a long time to come, and these rails are definitely not the best. And to me, it's just polishing a turd if we continue to use these rails. So I'm not putting a brand new engine that we build here on these rails. It just seems like a bad idea. So, all right, that's the update. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, you guys determine what we do with this truck. So the more you watch, the more you share it, the more you push my channel, the more we do with this truck. So that's where we got to be with it. All right, guys, that's it. We're gonna finish up with this spare tire, because that's the one that rides on the trailer. The old spare was kind of old. That's one of the older ones that's the tire that was next to the one that blew. So that's a newer tire. It's down, it's down on tread, but it's still plenty left, but it wasn't good enough to match with a brand new tire. So that's got to go. That's our new spare. Old spare to Continental. Continental never did good with the weight we do with these wheels, so that's got to go, and it's probably 8 years old anyways. All right, that's it. Finish up this tire. Time to go home. I'm starving.